So in this module, we are going to talk about how to identify the problem SQL statement, which you have seen the few minutes back, the SQL ID. So how we can understand which query is having the problem. So this we are going to learn into this module. So here we will talk about SQL statement processing, how my query is going to execute it against my database, that we will understand. Then we will talk about the optimizers, then SQL statement statics, SQL statement that perform poorly, and then how we can generate and view the education plan, which I was showing with the OEM. So we can do with the command line or OEM wherever, and then we can generate a ticket proof report, and we will try to optimize a trace over there. So SQL statement processing. By default, first of all, whenever your SQL is going to run against your database, so first, any SQL which is running, they will come into the various phase, the pass phase, which is called the passing. So we need to understand how my SQL processing is happening in my database. Got it? So by default, when it is running, if you can see here, the 4 blue color mark. So this is the 4 pillar for executing any of your database query. So the first statement is saying that you are going to pass the query. So in the parsing, there is a 2 type of things, the short pass, hard pass. When we talk about short pass, that means the query is executed and it is available in the buffer, you are getting the value from there, that way. Hard pass, you are going to fetch the data from there. Got it? So that way you are able to see it. So the query will pass, then it will goes to the bind. So, and then execution and finally fetching. So suppose my data is fetch. Here you can see the reverse arrow also. Got it? Are you getting? So suppose my data is not there. The reverse, how it happened. So the fetch phase will apply your query DML statement to return clause. Got it? So whenever your query is going to execute it, your SQL statement will process, and there's 2 scenarios. Data will be there, so it can be found, you will get the data. If not, they will go and find the data from your data files. So that's where the statement will be processed against any of your statement. Now let's talk about each these 4 phases: pass, bind, execute, and fetch. So how the passing will happen? Pass phase. So in the pass phase, the query will be checked the syntax, like you have mentioned the select or insert, whichever the query. So your syntax is correct or not. The passing stage, your query processing the SQL statement, and it will check your statement. They will check the statement with a syntax and semantics validity. So the query, your sensitivity, those things. Then, so if you can see the semantics and privilege, these all the things will be done over there. So it will determine the query which you have written, which is running against your database, they have the privilege to run it on the database or not. Got it? Then it will search into your buffer, the serial match statement into your share pool. Okay, the query is there, someone has executed or not, like you have executed a query, so is it available into share pool or not? Got it? That's way. Then they will allocate a private SQL area for that statement. Got it? Now the types of passing, you can see the 2 way: short pass, hard pass. As I said few minutes back, in the short pass, your statement will be submitted, and that means the statement, once it is going to be there, they will look into the first into your share pool area. The query will pass, the data is there, so the match is found over there with the previous execution by you or maybe any other user, I don't care. That means the query is there. The SQL statement is shared, and That time you will get a good for performance. Got it? The short pass, lots of people is confused. So don't be confused. Short pass will also check your syntax and security checking. Got it? Lots of people said, hey Rajiv, suppose I have run the query, you said that it is available into the share pool, I will get the data over there. No. Before getting the data, your syntax is correct or not, that will be checked. You have the access on that table or the object, that means your privilege, security and syntax will be checked into short pass as well. Of course, hard pass that will always check, but short pass also they are going to always check your syntax and privilege. Now, what happened into the hard pass case? So the hard pass case, it will merge view definition and subqueries. So that means your SQL statement will be submitted and they are not available into your buffer. So they will consider, okay, the first time it is coming. So that means no shareable will match in the share pool, and that is called a hard pass. And of course, if any hard pass is happening, that means they are going to consume your resource. Got it? So intensively or unscalably, they are going to use the operations for the parsing, and that time the bind variable will use. So here, if you can see in my previous statement, so after that the bind variable will come. Got it? Now the bind variable will use, and then they will fetch the data and they will put that data into the short pass for the further, and that way we will reduce the hard pass and keep passing a statement into library cases for longer period. And that's why, if you remember, most of the time we say to the developer, use the bind variable instead of the direct fetching by the cursor. Got it? So that's the one of the example which we can share with you for the poorly or SQL statement which is creating the problem.
So
yeah.
So bind variable is basically a variable that we use in our PL SQL query.
Yes. So bind variable basically, in short, you can understand like that. Whenever you are using the bind variable, so they will properly use it. That means when it will execute, they will reduce the hard passing. Got it? So suppose your query has executed first time, they will capture the data and keep into library cache for the long time. Got it?
Okay.
Whenever the same query will come, they will not execute a query again. Got it? They will process your query, check the syntax, everything, and then they will give you the value directly using the bind variable instead of your execution. Okay?
Okay.
Now, how your cursor data will store? So, understanding the passings, as if we said, the pass, the phase, syntax, those are the things which we talk. Now, short pass and the hard pass you understood. Now, SQL cursor storage. So, how your data will be stored within a cursor? Like you have fired the SQL statement. So, the Oracle server will use the library cache and shared SQL area, as well as I said, if you remember in the architecture, the PL/SQL area. Got it? So your query is coming from which side? From the SQL side or from the PL/SQL block, like procedural functions, trigger, whatever. Got it? So they will understand your statement, and accordingly they will store your data into the cache. If the query is coming from the SQL area, they will keep in the shared SQL area. If it is in the PL/SQL, then they will keep in the PL/SQL area. Got it? So that's way you are able to reduce the statement to the numeric value by the ASCII text. Got it? So hash function for this number they are maintaining, the cursor statement they are maintaining. Got it? So, and that's way, if you remember, there's a one parameter for the count statics which we are using, cursor underscore setting parameter. So that's where the adaptive cursor setting feature will be used for your database. And if you remember, we said to the developer, hey, share the cursor. When we found any problem into the query executions, we said to generally to that, use the bind variable, use the shared cursor, those things. So in short, you have to understand like that. The SQL statement get one the hard pass at the first time, and then it is submitted. Next time, they will use the same query as a short pass. Got it? For that session. Got it? Of course, not for the entire session, but yes, depend on the LRU method, because you share put in the LRU method until unless you are not put in the keep pool, then. So that depends if you have sufficient memory, so then they will capture the your session cache, share pool, and retain your cursor information. What the idea? Now, if I can go the more details into the cursor, so you can see here. Whenever you are using the cursor, so what it is saying, the passing process, find the execution and open the cursor. So make sure every developer, if you are going to use the cursor, so you need to open the cursor first. Got it? So as a developer, every time you have to open the cursor, then your cursor will be pointed to your SGA memory. And from there, you are able to execute the data. Got it? So your cursor will handle by your library cache. So within a share pool, library caches there, they will handle it. So how they are going to use? So if you remember, there is a session underscore cache underscore cursor. That is the parameter which is used, and by default their value is a 50. Got it? So whenever you are opening the cursor, they will be available for the 50 seconds, and after that they will be lost. Got it? Got it? So that times you have to find a closed cursor in the session cache, search the hash cache, and then construct the cursor over the hard pass. So you need to search the cursors, open the cursors, and then you have to execute it. Then it will store the data, and next time it will be considered as a short pass of your query. But if the cursor is age out, like after 50 seconds, you have not fetched the data, it will be age out. Data will be flush. But or you have not closed the cursor, so that will be the garbage value. So cursor, that time, the cursor will construct as a hard pass. Got it? So make sure metadata, whatever you have, dependent object like the table or index or extent or any procedure, function, sequence like those. So that is not going to be the metadata information will be already cached in the share pool. So you don't need to catch it again in your cursor. Got it? From the data dictionary. Yes. The good part is that you can able to optimize your cursor handling as per your business need. So we will show you in the later how to optimize the cursor. Now, what happened into your SQL statement processing phase? So during the bind phase, what will happen? During the bind phase, the Oracle database server will check your statement for the reference of the bind variable. Got it? So check the statement for bind variable. Here in this line you can see. And they will assign or release a value for your each bind variables. What it means? So in short, when you are using the bind variable, got it? So bind variable will, if you are using in your SQL statement, then your optimizer will understand that cursor setting is used for the different innovation. Got it? That means the multiple people can use the same existing execution plan, and that's way we will reduce the hard passing into my database. Got it? And how the cursor session will affect your database parameters? So sorry, database performance. So it depends on your db underscore hist underscore SQL bind. And if you are using that parameters, then you are able to see the data from there with the view, db hist SQL bind view to the actual type what is used by my cursors. This will happen in the processing phase. After processing, if you can go, what we have talked, the execution. So now execution phase, what will happen? So during the execution phase, lots of internal task is going to be performed, depend on your query. So they will read a multiple data buffer, multiple user can share the same execution plan. So Oracle database will perform the physical reads or the logical read and write, depend on your statement. If you are using the ascending, descending, sorting, filtering, those also, they will do the multiple tasks. Got it? So physical read are disk read and logical read are called block already in the memory and you got from the database buffer cache. Lots of time you will face the issue into performance tuning interview. What is the physical read? What is the logical read? Physical read means whenever your statement is fetching data from the disk, that means it is not available in the shared pool, so they will go and they will find from the disk. That is called the physical read. Logical read means block is already available into the database buffer cache. So in short, the name itself telling I am getting from memory, that means less resource use. But whenever you are using the physical read, you will use the more resource and time. Why? Because you require the IO for that disk. So that way execute phase will happen like that. What will happen in the fetching case? So it will retrieve the rows for the query. So whenever you fire the query, so each fetch typically retrieve maybe the single row, maybe the multiple row, depend on your query. Got it? So if you are using the multiple row, that time they will use the array. So array fetch means it will improve the performance by reducing the network round trip. So multiple times. Instead of that, Oracle is inbuilt and Oracle having the tool which will offer them the one way influencing the array size. So you can put the parameter like show array size. It will show you in your database what is your array size. You are able to change the array size depend on the business need. More array, that means it will give you the more faster. So SQL Plus, whenever you are running the query SQL Plus, you process 15 rows at a time by default. But in couple of cases, if you need a more, so very high or the array size, you can provide a little or less or more depend on your business need. Have you noticed that when you are executing, multiple people saying, hey, I am not getting the entire row by table. Well, you are performing select star, but still you are not getting the all rows. So depend on your parameter setting, array size, you are able to get the rows. Now, how your operation will happen? So during the DML statement, like when you are doing the DML operation, so whenever you will do the DML operation, be it the insert, be it the update, be it the delete, so that will go into the two ways of the processing. First, it will pass the same as the pass phase happen. So DML executions, whenever we are going to do, we have a couple of things to keep into mind. The first thing, what type of a statement is coming to my database? What it? So if you can see, the first it is reading the data and the rollback block from your database. Got it? If it is not in the buffer cache. So whenever the user process will start, they will user process start the data your query has update. So update is coming. So whenever the update will go, first of all, because update means what? Data is already there or insert data is not there. So they will look into your data files. Got it? So they will go to the data and read it. The server process read from the data file and then it will pass to your buffer cache. This is not talking we are select. The update, delete those cases. So it will update the data into your buffer cache. And then server process will log the rows that you have modified. Got it? And that's why you are not getting the newly updated data until unless you are not committing. After that, here you can see in the second phase what is happening in the buffer cache. The server process record the changes into your data buffer, as well as if update, that means the old data is also there. Like the example you can see update, I am doing the update on employee table. So my old data will, undo data will be kept as well. Got it? They will also change whatever the changes you updated, the newer value will go into Redolog buffer. And if you are using in-memory data, then it will go there. Got it? And of course, if you are using the rollback buffer, that will be there. In memory, that will be there. So those features, maybe you somebody have asked you write ahead logging. So that time they are doing like that. Now, in the third stage, what is happening? They are using Redolog buffer. So whatever data will happen, the rollback buffer will contain the value of data before it is modified. And then my rollback buffer will be used to data. But yes, for the whatever the changes will happen, the Redolog buffer is going to store the new changes. And finally, the user will get the operation, like how many rows is inserted or updated or deleted, depend on your query, like here update, so how many rows is updated. Finally, user will get the message accordingly. So this way, the passing will happen to your database, and then all the Redo changes will record from the dirty block, and that will must be written to the your Redolog buffer. Similar way, your DB database writer will allow and write the dirty block to the disk. So this process, which example you have seen, not only for the update, it will be applied for the insert case, it will be applied for the delete case. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Now, what will happen during the my commit processing? Like you have updated data, you have changed the data, and after that you are committing. So once you commit the data, that means the Oracle server will give the internally the data to the new SCN number, which is called system change number. So whenever your transaction is committed, the Oracle database will assign a new SCN for that transaction. Got it? And that SCN you are going to use for perform the consistent check whether my data is kept, those are the things. So consistent check without depending on your data, so date and time operation you are able to take. So what will happen? Suppose I have executed a commit statement. Whenever you execute a commit statement, the server process will place the commit record. So with your SCN number into your Redolog buffer. Then your log writer process will write all the Redolog buffer up to the committed data into the Redolog files, online Redolog files. Got it? And that's way they will give you the guarantee that whatever the changes you done with the committed will never be going to be lost. Got it? Because the SCN number is there and they are able to recover based on the SCN number. Similar way, my server process will send a transaction completion message to my user process. And then finally, here my database writer will come into the picture. They will write the actual data block change onto the disk location. Of course, it depends on the internal timing. That means, as I said, committed and committed both the data. So if uncommitted, that means incremental checkpoint. What idea?
Yes, sir.
Now let's talk about the optimizer. What is the use of the optimizer? So in the Oracle database, optimizer is the part of your database server. Got it? And which will create the execution plan for your SQL statement. So internally, whenever you are calling any query, the optimizer will come into the picture, because that is the engine. This is optimize your query to get the better result. So your SQL statement can be utilize with the best execution plan to execute time. And then my execution plan will be based on the various scenario what you have seen. They will get a step-by-step process, and that thing they will go to the statics gathers, then system IO, CPU, what it, how many rows they are going to do, access, which is schema object, is there index or not. They will check the data, the information into data dictionary. If you have used a where clause or hint, those are the things. In short, we will talk this optimizer in the later as well. The optimizer will use the two name based on their functions. Got it? One is called runtime optimizer and another is called automatic tuning optimizer. So if you are using automatic tuning optimizer, so that means you are depend on your setting SQL cursor. The cursor will setting the effect and use for the better. Got it? And that's why the execution can be eliminated in your database. Then your optimizer, another task is that they will evaluate the execution and the condition. So what it means, evaluation, that means your optimizer first evaluate your expression, your conditions, like you have mentioned where salary is equal to so and so, or age is equal to so and so, department is equal to so and so, like if any condition where clause you are using. So they will check your conditions. Got it? So how they are going to access your data fully, then filter, or the only particular, is there index or not. Then they will go for the another step. The optimizer will statement transformation. So suppose your query is the complex which you have written, like correlated subqueries you have mentioned, or you have used the view, then optimizer will transform them to the original statement with the equivalent join statement. Internally this is happening. Then it will choose the approach how it is going to perform. Then optimizer basically determine the goal to optimization, and then they will look into the access path, which is the easiest way to access my table. So accordingly the optimizer will choose the best path to reach to your table data. Of course, the optimizer can skip the access path if there is no statics available, like if you are using the bitmap index in this case. Have you remember bitmap, that memory address you are passing? So that time they are not going to do the best plan. Then join orders, what type of join, which table. So the optimizer will decide which join statement. If you are using more than two table, the optimizer will choose which pair of table is joined first, then which table is joined to the result. These all, and that's why we said, okay, always write the, if comparison you are doing, the smaller table will be first, then the bigger table, like this way. So it depends on your scenario. So which of your join method, that will be chosen over there. So these all the things will be done by the optimizer internally. Got it? And sometimes people will say, okay, influencing the optimizer. That means when you give the hint, that means you are influencing the optimizer. The statement which I said, don't do this, I know the better than you. That's why. So optimizer may not make the same decision from the one version to another database version. Got it? Why? Because its information is in a, maybe available, maybe not. Optimizer will take the different decisions based on to their business. And that's why if you remember, couple of business we are upgrading, when performance will degrade, we will change the optimizer behavior should be in the previous version. Got it? That's right. Now, one question to you. Both of you, in the past phase, the data dictionary is used to find the properties and statics of object named to implied into SQL statement. The optimizer use this information to build an execution plan. The optimizer is always invoked for a soft pass. True or false?
False.
Yeah, because optimizer always invoke the only hard pass. Got it? cursor and execution plan is not found into the SQL area. Because optimizer will come onto that hard pass. Short pass, optimizer will not come into picture. That's first of all. Now let's understand the identifying the bad SQL. So what is the bad SQL? How we know okay, my query is not performed? So whenever you are running your SQL statement, that means there may be the correct, maybe the wrong. So any SQL statement which produce the correct result is the correct SQL statement. But suppose the different SQL which you are executing, they are taking the different amount of resource. Got it? Got it? That is called a bad SQL. Bad SQL means inefficient query taking more resource than necessary. Suppose I have to, that query should be run into the, depend on the less CPU, less DB times, instead of they are taking the more, that means this query will be called as a bad SQL. But the question will come, how we can come to know that which is the bad SQL? Got it? So of course, the top SQL report, if you remember in the AWR report you have seen, in the ADDM you have seen, the top SQL report, got it, which will provide you the SQL statement which is consuming the most resource. And then you can decide the bad SQL will result the bad designs, that may be the reason. If you have written the query not properly, so poor coding, it may be that, or maybe the optimizer choose the inefficient execution plan, those cases. So how we can do? So as a DBA, it's your duty to understand which is taking the more time. Got it? Depend on your past experience, the query, and then you can influence the optimizer to produce the better execution plan. But that is called a hint and passing it, okay, do it like that way. So then your optimizer will attempt, find the optimization execution plan, and you are able to get it. Got it? So these all things will happen over there. A bad query. Like here you can see the top SQL report. But are you able to see the query which is taking the most of the time? SQL order by CPU time, SQL order by gates. So here you can see the different SQL statement which is taking my top SQL report is showing, okay, one of my query has taken the almost of my total, you can see here. Got it? So total times, the elapsed times, the CPU times. Got it? So that means we have to understand this query, identify this query, and then we will identify the tuning of the top SQL statement which will improve my performance. Got it? So you have to find the top resource consuming SQL statement by the top SQL report, or maybe the AWR or state specs, or maybe the from view. How you are doing, that's your lookout. But you have to look always into this area. What you have to look. So first thing you have to use elapsed time. How much time my query has processed. Got it? This is the first area which we are looking. Suppose CPU utilization is 100%, but it is taking for the only 1 second or the less second, nanosecond. It won't be much impacted. Got it? So you have to look into the elapsed time first. Then you can see the CPU time. Got it? How much my CPU time is used. Got it? So this way, elapsed time, the CPU time, this area you have to look. Got it? After that, how much gate is happening? How much read is happening? If you can see here, the gate. So how much the query is performed? What is the short pass is happening? What is the read is happening? What is the my executions? Got it? How many times they have executed? How much buffer they get? Got it? Those all the things you can, and then versions count, those all you are able to see. Accordingly, make sure every SQL statement are not included into the report by default. Of course, because as top and SQL parameters depend on your AWR or statistics level, your threshold, they will capture the only top 5 earlier it was taking, but now it is taking to top 10. Similar way you are able to do with the SQL monitoring. So here you can see from the SQL monitoring, you can check the cursor over the value of the each and every SQL execution. So you can click over there, what happened, execution duration, how much time they have taken, few minutes back you see who have the users which has executed, how much the CPU time has taken, degree of parallelism if they are that means the parallel operation has used or not, how much the disk read is happening, execution time, how much it takes. So those are the things you are able to monitor from there. You are able to monitor the SQL execution details like which I was showing you in the previous demo. So this way you are able to get it. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Now the question to you, another one. A SQL statement that use more resource than necessary is consist bad SQL. Which of the following are characteristics of bad SQL?
BD,
B and D. Why not the A?
not necessary, but always fully scan it.
Yeah, because A is not necessary. Suppose my table have more than the 10% return. So never use the index. That means in this case, the full table scan will happen. A small table we always advise or the column which is frequently changing the data, do not use the index. That's why C is not correct, A is not correct. Has a large number of pass, quite possible depending on the query. So that's why the B and D is the only correct. Okay,
Yes, sir.
understood the concept?
Mhm.
Any doubt, any question? So far?
I know, sir.
No?